Welcome to the Total Boss Podcast, and I'm your host, Christiano Green, a podcast where we talk about finding fulfillment through self-development, being a leader of your own life, and getting the most out of it as well. Tenacity, originality, talent, authenticity, and being legendary. It's all about living your best life. Hello, all you total bosses out there, and welcome to another episode of the Total Boss Podcast. So my name is Christiano Green, and I am your host, and I am a mindset and transformation coach working with gay men to help them to utilize their triggers to transform their trauma into triumph so they can have more confidence, self-love, self-worth, and really go out and have the life that they truly, truly deserve. So this week on the podcast, I wanted to talk about life audits. What the fuck is a life audit, right? And how do we do a life audit? And do I even need to do a life audit? These are the questions that probably comes to mind when you hear about a life audit. So think about it like this, every single day, of our life, we probably stop and we ask our friends, we ask our colleagues, our family, people we come into contact with, how are you? Right? That's a normal question to ask. But when was the last time that you asked yourself how you were doing? And I'm going to guess it's probably been a very long while, maybe not ever, right? It's a common thing that we ask other people how they're doing, but we rarely come back to look at the relationship that we have with ourselves. We have so many different areas of our life and so many different people in our life that it's easy to get caught up and figure out how are we actually going? You want to obviously learn how you can strengthen your relationship with yourself, get to know yourself better, and, really build up something in your life that's going to be worth living, right? So obviously, it's so easy for us to go out and ask other people, but why aren't we taking the time to do that for ourselves? And, I'm going to guess that we've probably never learned to prioritize it. Instead we probably are plowing through our day-to-day lists, all those lists that we have, taking care of everyone else, because we're such loving, caring, kind people, right? Or probably we're sometimes just avoiding checking in with ourselves because we might be too tired, or there's just stuff there that we just aren't wanting to deal with. So we're just going to keep moving from one thing to the next, hoping that it's going to take you in the right direction. So you can't know what you need if you don't fully understand your situation. So understanding that checking in with yourself is really going to be the first step of realizing, do I need to do a life audit? And if I do, what do I need to do in the life audit to help me get to understanding, clarity, and then taking action, right? So really what a life audit is, it's just a full, thorough assessment of your life. Now you take stock of anything that's really taking up time, space, mental energy, physical energy, spiritual energy, all of those things. And what the assessment will do is it's going to give you a clear picture of your life, where you're at right now, what's going well, and really what isn't going well. The purpose of this life audit is to be able to confidently determine what actions to take next. Now, but doing a life audit can be hard, It's tough getting honest with yourself about, areas of your life that really don't feel fulfilled or you're not happy in, right? You might be feeling a lack of peace, right? The idea isn't to really judge yourself or compare your life to other people, right? Doing a life audit can be an experience full of shame and self-doubt. But what I really want you to do is encourage you to try to go into a life audit with a self-love mindset. Part of self-love is really loving yourself enough to want more growth, more joy, more happiness, and more meaning and purpose in your life. And that's exactly what the life audit is gonna do. So life audits is all about really having a, intentional way of living, the lifestyle practice of living life on purpose, to live with your intention, you must really make some conscious choices in your everyday life that really align with your core values, the ideals that are really just the most important things to you, right? And so by doing so, you're in control of your life and, you're living a life that is truly, truly yours. Now, doing a life audit is step one in kind of living intentionally, right? The knowledge that you gain from assessing your current situation allows you to make those conscious choices about the next steps that you will take in your life. Now, if you don't have that knowledge, you're either guessing what you want or what you actually truly need. Making choices based on what other people think of you or outside forces is going to have you living life on autopilot, right? Now, a life audit is going to be the first step in living a life that is truly yours and one filled with purpose and meaning. Now, you're probably thinking, how do I know if I even need a life audit, right? Well, it can feel pretty sucky the first time you realize that you probably need to evaluate your life in some way or form. I've totally been there, right? I was pretty much plugging along on autopilot, working in the corporate world, doing everything, being a people pleaser, had a good job, good pay, good friends, etc., right? But at the core of it, I was just unhappy. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't living a life of freedom. I felt stuck. So just certainly wasn't feeling much freedom at all, right? And just, I remember every day feeling like, is this the best it's going to get, right? And so I was kind of living this mediocre life. And then it was like, okay, how much longer do I live this way? Or do I just live this way and then die, What's the point of that, right? So it was a pretty low place for me to be, wondering what the heck the point of life even is. Now, eventually, all of this constant, morbid questioning led me to take a long, hard look at my life. And I did a life audit, right? Now, my life audit really kind of highlighted all of the pieces of my life that just didn't feel meaningful. That job that I was doing, yes, I was high up there. I had a great team. I was getting paid amazingly. But I wasn't feeling purpose. I wasn't feeling fulfilled in it. I was feeling like I was living someone else's story, right? I was single. I'd been single my whole life, and I felt like I kept going in a cycle, and I kept self-sabotaging myself. And it's common for gay men to self-sabotage themselves in relationships because we don't have very many people in our life that can really give us great role models of being in a gay relationship. My friends were all in the party scene. I was a party person. I was drinking my life away. I was partying my life away, right? I was not happy with my health and my body and my fitness. And, I kept trying to do things for my spirituality, but then going against everything that, I was getting told by the messages of my spirituality, right? So it showed me all of this stuff. There were so many areas of my life that I could, really go, why am I wasting my time on these things? I've got useless clutter. They're not filling me up inside, and I'm feeling like I'm just not experiencing life the way that I thought it was going to be, or the way that I should want it to be. So I really got to see the pieces of my life that were fulfilling, because there were some, right? I had a great family. I had some really close, good friends. And, I know that I had passion and I was living in some way, but it just wasn't fully realized or thought about properly. There was a lot of beauty in the world. There was a lot of people in the world that were loving to me. I was good at a lot of areas, and I really saw myself really excelling in some areas, right? But the simple fact was that I know that in order for me to get better and for me to be happy and be more fulfilled, there was options for me to change my life. Now, doing the life audit gave me the knowledge to decide what was going to be adding value to my life and what wasn't. Now, the knowledge then gave me the confidence to keep really what those important things were that I had, that I was going to hold dearly onto, let go of everything else and make the changes needed for growth, right? For happiness, for fulfillment, for progress, right? Because progress is success, right? Now, by the time life had slapped me in the face hard enough to really make me want to reevaluate my life, I had to make some massive changes to get back on track. Now, obviously it didn't happen overnight, but really, for me, over a 12-month period, I went and, started my coaching business, right? And got to a place within that business where I was serving clients and I was feeling fulfilled and feeling passionate, and it was growing, and I was able to kind of survive and grow my business and actually live my life through my business. So that led to me being able to, leave my job, and I was able to leave it in the most positive and uplifting way I could even think of, in every other time I'd left my job, it was an awful experience, where I got fired or I quit at the last minute and walked out. This was me leaving and really kind of setting a new pattern, a new standard for myself. Now, I also wasn't feeling happy living where I was in Sydney. And so in the middle of the pandemic, I decided that it was time for me to get up and go somewhere. And I love Bali. And so I decided to make a plan to move to Bali. And there was a whole load of rigmarole to get here. But I made it happen because I knew this was the place I needed to be so I could be more deeper into my spirituality, right? So I did that. I focused on giving up the alcohol and the drugs. And I got myself into my most fittest stage ever, and I continue to do so constantly, right? Because life's all about improving. Now, I've been in Bali and I've been in a relationship which I've been in for over 6 months. This is the longest relationship I've ever had because, most of my life, I said I was single, really short-term relationships I spent my life with, right? I built up some new connections, some great friends. I feel like I've grown the other friendships that were there and let go of some in the first place as well, right? So for me, I've been able to really change my whole life around because I knew that in my life audit, I started to see things that I just wasn't happy with, right? And now I was able to create the life that I truly felt I deserved and wanted. And, the biggest piece of advice from my experience is just don't wait until something is wrong to do a life audit. Life audits are actually a really good thing. And if you wait until something is deeply wrong to change your life, you're going to have big changes to make. But if you regularly assess your life, you only need to make small changes to get yourself back on track. Now, do you need a life audit? Now, if you're asking this question for whatever reason, then I'm going to say the answer is yes, right? Because if you're asking, it's because you're thinking there's something that you need to look at, right? Everyone at some point will need to do a life audit, but not everyone will do it, right? Not everyone's going to step up to the plate and really take a look at their life and do an audit, right? We do audits in business. We do audits for your taxes. You do all of those audits. But when it comes to yourself, if you audited yourself on a regular basis, how much better could your life be? How many areas could you go, I need to shift, that was not in alignment, that thing's off, right? Now, I personally recommend checking in with yourself on a regular basis, right? I like to do a full life audit at least once a year, whenever the timing is feeling right for me. In between each life audit, I would probably say I like to do regular self-reflection. I'm a very self-actualized person. Like I like to think that, and I like to do self-reflection and, often try to make tweaks to improve things and see where things I want to change and shift, right? Because as we evolve, we do have different thoughts and we do want to go down different paths, right? Outside of doing these regular check-ins, there are lots of signs that can indicate that you might want to do or need to do a life audit. So what are some of the signs to do a life audit? So think about this. You've never done a life audit before. So if you've never done one, it's time to do one now and start to see what's really in front of you so you've got that clear understanding. Number 2, you're probably feeling constantly overwhelmed with life. That's a good sign to say you should do a life audit. You're feeling unsettled or unfulfilled, right? Definitely a great opportunity to do a life audit. You feel stuck, like maybe you're living life on autopilot, but you're really not sure what to do next. That's a sign to do a life audit. You've gone through a massive life change, a new job, a death from someone close to you, you've moved somewhere, a new relationship. All of these are great signs for you to do a life audit so you can see how these things are affecting the rest of your life as well, right? Your emotions are controlling your actions, a great reason to do a life audit. Something feels off, but you're not sure what it is. Great sign to do a life audit. You want some more joy, some more purpose, some more meaning, more passion in your life. Great sign to do a life audit. You're setting and reaching goals, but they aren't leaving you satisfied. A great sign to do a life audit. And finally, you're just ready for some personal growth. That is a great sign to do a life audit. Now, even if just one of those things on this list is resonating with you, it might be time for you to truly do a life audit. Now, let's dive into exactly what that is going to look like. So how do you do a life audit, right? So first things first, you want to get a pen and paper. Your hand is a thinking tool, right? You want to be the person who's in control of doing that life audit, right? Now, what are some of the areas that you want to consider, right? There's a lot of different steps to it, right? And so really the areas of life that you want to consider are, looking at things like this, my daily life. What are my habits, my routines, my overall lifestyle? What's my physical and health and wellness? What am I doing for that? How am I feeling in that area? And you can look at this and scoring them on a scale of 1 to 10 to start with, right? What about your mental health? Your outlook on life, awareness, motivation. Emotional health, self-love, understanding and working with your emotions. Your spirituality, your spiritual self, right? Your connection and understanding with the world around you. Your relationships, your friends, your family, your partners, right? Your partners, depending on who you are, right? You could have multiple. Now, your home, your environment, your belongings, your resources, what's happening at home and how happy you are with where you live. Digital space, right? This is a big one. Social media. How much time are you using social media? How much technology are you on? You know, your digital online files, right? Are they in order, right? Because sometimes having things out of order online can really, play with your mind, right? Your finances, understanding of where you're spending, what's coming in, your use of, your investments, your relationship with money, your taxes, all of those things, right? Your community, connecting with and giving to your community, right? We all have multiple communities in our life, right? Contributions, giving from your career, your responsibilities, projects, charitable things, all of those areas, right? And your growth, which is the most important, your education, your learning, your exploration, your self-improvement, right? This is the most important areas for you to look at and really go, how can I take this to a whole new level? So that's kind of what what we should be looking at when we talk about the areas of a life audit, right? And so for me, I am running a free workshop on doing a life audit, and throughout the process, we actually do a life audit in all of those areas, and I get to do it on the spot there. So it's a short, 2-3 hour process where we actually go through and ask some really deep questions in each areas for us to be able to look and see where we completely are. So what's actually going to be in the life audit, right? So what really will happen is that we're going to look at your entire life through a lens, including all aspects of it, and realize different perspectives of what you really want and need to change. We're going to uncover the 80-20 rule and how it works for you, applying 20% of the changes to get really 80% of the results that you want to have. Discover how to reorganize your life like a jigsaw puzzle and have it reordered in the best possible order for you. And obviously I'm going to utilize my skills as an NLP master practitioner and utilize all the techniques that I know to transform all of those shoulda, woulda, couldas into musts and desires and needs, and having you start living your best life now. So really this event is coming up in the next couple of weeks. If you want some information, definitely, reach out to me because I love to give some information. It's going to be run for gay men, right? So this is an exclusive and limited event, and, I'm going to be hosting this for free. So I'm only going to be selecting the most committed and high quality gay men to attend. So, if you are someone who's serious about living your life for you, if you're serious about making changes in your life and being happy and fulfilled, if you're serious about seeing that there is nothing wrong with you, and if you're serious about making better choices in your life, then you really have no more excuses, right? Let me know, and, I can do a short little application and see if you're one of the right people to come and join the actual life audit workshop. So, yes, this is really understanding what a life audit is. And, it's all about us really looking at our life and really saying, where am I doing well? What am I happy with? What do we want to keep doing well at? And what are some of the areas that I'm just not happy with, I haven't been focusing on? And if I could make some changes there, I could see big differences across my life. So if you want to get some information or find out about it, comment below, reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll happily, ask you a couple of questions to make sure that you are the right fit for this type of a workshop. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I trust that was valuable for you to understand what a life audit is and really what you could get value out of coming to do my, free life audit workshop that's coming up in a couple of weeks. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I will catch you next week. Look forward to your comments, keeping the conversation going on Facebook, and always remember that you have got this and I've got you.